you all for being here during this presentation. I apologize in advance for reading, but as people that know me, I can keep talking about our research for ages. So to try to be really good and stick to my 15 minutes, we have actually to write down and the paper. As you can see from the title, we would like to present our ongoing work on the use of predictive modeling in strategizing archaeological fieldwork. We're going to be focusing on two chosen predictive methods, from which here today we present some preliminary results and ideas. The goals and the question of our main research can be summed up as follows. So first of all, we wanted to investigate how different methods gathered under a general term of predictive modeling work and how they relate to each other. We also study how the different methods can be integrated to make field season more effective and less destructive. In this view, predictive modeling became a key aspect to be integrated into fieldwork, both on an efficiency level, as it allows us to integrate data and have a better understanding of what we are looking and where we are looking for it and to what extent we can be looking in a certain area. And to a computational level, as it allows us to collect and combine large amount of data sets. The research, especially the case study we are presenting here today, is focused on a data set coming from Jordan, which is the region where my current Center of Excellence on Asian Near Eastern Empire from the University of Helsinki is having future fieldwork starting in 2020. And we're currently testing this method in our collaboration with the System Research Institute of the Polish Academy of Science. So, getting down to the dirty data, we are looking really keen to hear comments and in the discussion to help improve our current methodology and any type of suggestions. This region, for the people who are not really familiar with it, with its climate and landscape, constitute a clear border buffer region between the Mediterranean and the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula and the Persian Gulf. The main goal of the project is to collect multidisciplinary type of data to identify Persian presence and to be able to determine Persian materials and identity, both imperial and rural identities, in the area around the archaeological site of Bushehr, which was an important regional center in the Iron Age. The principal research questions are: can the area we analyze in the hinterlands of this Iron Age capital of the Persian period actually have left its mark on the natural and urban landscape? Can natural resources support the population, both sedentary and nomadic population, that it's thought to be present at that specific frame of time? The archaeological site of Bushehr has been identified with the ancient Bosra, and previous archaeological research has shown that it was in use from the beginning of late 9th century, beginning of the 8th century, up to the 5th century BCE. The site has been extensively researched by Krzysztof Bennett in the 70s, has been part of an extensive survey by Bieńkowski at the beginning of the 2000s, and at the current time, the TEL, so the main part of the site, has been investigated by the University of California, Berkeley, by Benjamin Porter, which we are collaborating with, and some of the data are actually coming from this previous research. Specifically, within this geographical and historical landscape, we focus on the Iron Age II period, which is usually associated with the Persian presence in this area. The aim is particularly important because in the current archaeological research, there is a clear gap, if you are familiar with Asian Near Eastern, especially with the archaeology of Jordan, there is a clear gap on the Persian presence. And more generally, not just in this area, but also in the Levantine as a geographical entity, regarding not only the modalities, but also of the impact of centralized Persian control in these peripheral regions. Thus, our aim is to survey and identify sites that have a continuous occupation between the beginning of the Iron Age and the Hellenistic periods, thus to be able to specifically identify stratigraphically Persian levels. Predictive modeling It's closely related to GIS and many aspects to computer-aided decision-making. In the field of archaeology, many types of spatial data analysis have been undertaken since the 70s, and these included methods such as Voronoi, polygons, extent theory, and have been applied to archaeological practice with different results for many years. In this study, our input data is comprised of GIS vector data representing some of the following categories, such as lakes, rivers, permanent water sources, and seasonal water sources, coastline. And the form of the landscape was also included in the form of a rasterized data as a digital elevation model. So far, for our investigation, we choose to focus on specific aspects of the landscape, but in future data such as more complex natural resources, paleoenvironmental data, paleoclimate, cultural data, such as Asian demography, is going to be inserted into these two different types of modeling. And for the purpose of this presentation, I'm just going to give you a general introduction. The two models that we have used, the multi-criteria method and the agent-based modeling method. Both methods require the same types of data, hence they are well suited for comparison, or better, as I will try to explain during this presentation, to draw a complementary approach in preparation of field survey and excavation. In both cases, the goal of the method is to investigate settlement patterns of ancient society. The earlier the society, unfortunately for us as archaeologists, the less accuracy of the method, as the landscape and climate has clearly undergone several changes over time. Our investigations are not aimed at replacing, though, the expert analysis with computer-aided analysis. On the contrary, the discussed methods are aimed at providing archaeologists with additional tool to deal with large amounts and often, as you all will know, complex type of data. Additionally, we need to keep in mind that the requirement for a run of the method, it's necessary to properly prepare the data, as well as provide expert knowledge on the preferences for settlement location and land use of the investigated society. So, the method we call here the multicriteria method is based on the concept of multicriteria optimization. Is an extended version of the multicriteria optimization. The results of the analysis is presented as a Pareto front. This allows not only to choose one optimal solution, but also a whole set of acceptable solutions. In our method, we are taking into account several criteria with the possibility of assigning weights importance to those criteria. In the archaeological application, it's not possible to apply the rules of classical multi-criteria optimization, as it would drastically reduce the number of results. In our method, we are looking for the optimal points, as well as points that don't completely fulfill the criteria exactly, but are close enough to be allowed as possible site location. To give you a good example, theoretically, the point is a location that has a zero distance from a set of resources, such as water, and is located to a 0-degree land inclination that is perfectly flat terrain. In this method, we classify the investigated region accordingly to the given criteria. The closer the location matches the criteria, the higher the possibility of an archaeological site being located there. As the criteria are mostly related to the geographical and natural resources, this method does not detect sites that have greater significance or defensible sites, at least not yet until we input anthropological or social anthropological type of information. The second method we plan to use in our research is agent-based modeling. Although at the beginning, we were quite curious about comparing these two different methods to determine the area for survey. During the study and with our preliminary results, we have noticed that these methods are not exclusive of each other, but better defined as complementary and efficient in answering two different aspects of surveying planning. If the multi-criteria method focuses more on the where, agent-based modeling is based on the idea of modeling interaction between autonomous agents, such as natural resources available, again, land or water, anthropological factors, the type of society we are dealing with, the type of leadership, what we know about taxation, all information that we can actually collect from written sources in this case, population estimate, or even external factors such as conflict that we know of. thus allowing us to investigate behavioral patterns to analyze possible developments of complex society over time. In this case, we're aiming to look at the longer Iron Age and determine how many people in the area around Busera could actually be supported and could interact with each other. And we're especially focusing on interacting two different types of society, nomadic and sedentary society around this main city. For instance, in defining our agent-based modeling, we initially did not factor some aspects that we listed now on our current challenge, such as the presence nearby the site of Busera of the King's Road. And these are aspects we are still working on in our coding on how to implement these different variables within our agent-based modeling. I'm mentioning as the King's Road is one of the most important infrastructure of the area. It's present all around the Iron Age. It's constant during the Iron Age period, and it was an important artery of Persian traffic between the northern part and the southern part of the Levant. So our current challenge is to be able to integrate these and other social aspects of diachronic changes during the Iron Age in our model, especially regarding the Tafila region, not just the hinterland of Busera. For honesty's sake, I should tell you that the agent-based modeling is still ongoing, and initial results have highlighted the complexity of incorporating both transient and non-transient society within the same model, but also the importance of such a result for future research. So, to sum up, some of our preliminary results seems to indicate that a combination of these two methods help defining not only the area of survey, so we were able to answer the where, but they help us also to better understand the outcome of interaction between different ages, thus informing us on what we should be looking at during the fieldwork, not just where we should be looking for it. Within these approaches, it's possible to model interaction not only between people and environment, but also between different types of agents themselves, for instance, trade, taxation, and cultural elements. Also, we try to map different interaction within the same society. For instance, within sedentary society, we try to determine interaction between elite and non-elite groups. We're planning to run again the ABM in the netlog environment with a more complex set of variables, just the one I just mentioned. And especially all the information that part of my teams that is working on written taxes has collected about taxation and this relationship between elite and non-elite component of society in the Iron Age Tafila, which then we will use to map the interaction around the specific area of Busera. We're aiming around at 20 kilometers around Busera. The multicriteria, to conclude, the multicriteria-based approach determines possible site location is in a partially static manner under the provided criteria in a given moment in time, whereas ABM-GIS based approach works on a more dynamic way, taking into account the relationship between social groups over time. The main purpose of their combination is to support archaeologists in the analysis of distribution or location of potential sites and then verifying the sustainability through ABM of such site within the specific historical context. Finally, this study aims at creating a more efficient and oriented survey strategy for this, not only this geographical area, but generally, if we think about it, the Near East. Excavation and surveys are, as you all will know, becoming increasingly expensive, and often the Near East political events can clearly impact our archaeological fieldwork or the ability to conclude our fieldwork. So our next step is to retest both methodologies. And with a new set of data we are currently correcting, and they will get published shortly on an open access publication, we are also hoping then to test these theoretical models during our first field season in 2020, and then give you a more complete publication about our theoretical models and the actual results. And I thank you all for your attention.